Hello class, Dr. Shishkin is here, and today we're going to finish our discussion of perfect competition. So there are two things we're going to do today. First, we're going to talk about the firm supply curve and the market supply curve in the short run. So we're going to figure out how we can come up with the market supply curve if we know the individual firm supply curve in the industry. And the next thing we're going to do is to talk about market equilibrium in the long run. Alright, so the first thing is the relationship between the market supply curve and the firm supply curve. And well, we assume that the market or the industry has very similar, basically identical firms. So it's a simplifying assumption here. Every company is the same. So it makes things very simple. If you know the cost structure of one firm and can figure out supply curve for one company, this is what we have here. S1 represents supply curve for an individual company. I hope you remember how to get this supply curve. It's basically part of marginal cost curve, this part. Above average variable cost and below average variable cost, we know it just drops to zero in the short run. So if price drops below this point, then firm is producing nothing. If the price is above minimum average variable cost, then it's we just have to follow marginal cost curve to figure out what would be the level of output of this company, of this firm, given this price. So if price is P1 and this is our supply curve, then we can find quantity supplied by, well, looking at this Q1. This is for one company. And for two companies, well, if they're identical, then the output will just double. So if we have two identical firms having the same supply curve as this one, then what would happen in price P1, we will get quantity supplied doubled. And if, let's say, we have 1,000 firms in the industry, then if price is P1, then the quantity supplied will be 1,000 multiplied by Q1. So you basically multiply the number of firms in the industry by the level of output produced by one firm, which is something you can call a representative company in the industry. Okay. So, next question, how things are going to work in the long run? And, well, there are two major things that we're going to figure out. First, we're going to see that price in the long run, market price, is going to deviate to minimum average total cost. It's always going to be approaching minimum average total cost to actually stay there unless there is something happens that pushes price away from this level. And well, it's actually happening because in this situation, every company in this industry making economic profit, which is zero economic profit. And this is the condition of equilibrium, because if every company making zero economic profit, then no one wants to leave, no one wants to enter this industry. It just you know, it's as good as any other industry. So if this is true, then this is true, and which means we have the long run equilibrium. So let's look at three possibilities: normal times, good times, and bad times. That will describe what will happen in the long run. So normal times, it's a situation where we expect the industry to be in the long run, unless there are some disturbances. And as I already said, that's a situation where market price is equal to minimum average total cost of a representative company. Everyone is making zero economic profit, and no one is interested in leaving, and no one is interested to entering this industry. So we can see it on this diagram. So here we have market price being equal to minimum average total cost of representative company, which means every company makes zero economic profit. Price is equal to average total cost means zero profit, zero economic profit, which doesn't mean they don't make any profit at all. They just make normal profit. So they make as much money as they would have made anywhere else. And in this case, everything should stay here indefinitely. This situation should last indefinitely long unless something here changes. So we're going to look at several possibilities. We're going to see what will happen if demand changes, and we're going to see what happens if this cost structure of the representative company changes. So here we come, factors that disturb long-run market equilibrium. And as I said, that could be changes in demand, which will result in the market price going above or below minimum average total cost. And we will see that in the long run, the price should go back to this level. And another possibility you can think of is the changes in technology that will improve productivity. It will drop minimum average total cost below its original level. And well, what will happen in this case? The market price will just follow this reduced minimum average total cost. So now let's look at these situations in turn. So let's start with bad times. What do we mean by bad times? Well, we mean that by bad times we mean when reduction in price below minimum average total cost of a representative company. It might happen if demand, for some reason, for the good produced in this industry just goes down. We know from our early discussion in this class that if demand goes down, then the equilibrium price goes down as well. So what will happen in this case? Well, everyone will start making negative economic profit, in other words, losses. And you can actually see it on this diagram. So this is where we were in the beginning originally. So this is our minimum average total cost. And that was equal to the market price. And then demand decreased. So we had the shift in demand curve from D0 to D1. So equilibrium changes from this point to this point, which corresponds to lower market price. Very important to notice here that as equilibrium quantity goes down from this level, let's say Q0, market equilibrium quantity to Q1, what happens? It happens not because every company is producing less now. Demand goes down, price goes down, so equilibrium quantity is down because every company producing less. The number of companies stay the same because we're in the short run. We're looking what happens like in the beginning when demand goes down. So the same number of companies, each company produces less, so equilibrium quantity goes down. So this is the initial situation in the short run. But then what's going to happen in the long run? Well, some companies will start leaving the industry because negative economic profit means that in the long run, companies don't want to be there. They will start exiting. And some companies will start leaving. What will happen? Well, supply in the industry will decrease. So this is what we see here. Supply actually goes down, which means we have leftward shift in supply from S0 to basically to S1, and S1 is going to be such a supply curve which will restore the initial price, which is equal to minimum average total cost. So this is what we have here. This new supply curve restores this, what I call here P0, which is supposed to be equal to minimum average total cost. Alright, so two steps. First, in the short run, we have drop in demand. Decrease in demand reduces the equilibrium price. Firms start losing money, and which in the long run result in some companies leaving the industry, which reduces supply. And supply will be decreasing, or in other words, companies will be leaving this industry as long as the profit made by each company in this industry is negative. And it will be happening until price get back to the minimum average total cost. So when enough companies leave the industry and the supply reduces enough to restore the minimum average total cost, restore the price equal to minimum average total cost for representative company, then we're back to the initial equilibrium, and that's what we call normal situation, normal times. Next step, to see what happens, in the good times. Where is my good times picture? Normal times, bad times, and good times. Here we are. So in the good times, well, the opposite will happen. Good times means that demand increases, and you actually can see it. Let me actually erase something here. I think it will be easier for you to see things if I just move in steps. So let's say we were in this initial situation where price was equal to minimum average total cost of the representative company in this industry. That was our supply curve, determined by the individual supply curve for each company there, and by the number of companies as 0, and that was our demand, D0. So this is where we were in the long run before things kind of turn to good. Demand increases, which means demand curve shifts to the right. So this is our D1. What happens because of this increase in demand? Well, the equilibrium price goes up. So now the market price is higher than minimum average total cost. So this is what we have. This is why we have this P1 here. Let me get rid of it. So this is new price, is what we have after demand went up. So this is P1. Well, and this higher price means what? It means that companies inside this industry will start making non-zero economic profit, positive economic profit. And in the short run, everyone who is inside this industry just enjoying themselves, because everyone likes positive economic profit. They're making better money than the businesses outside of this industry are. But because we're dealing with perfect competition situation, the entry is open for everyone. So businesses outside of this industry will be attracted by this positive economic profit. So what would happen? More businesses means increase in supply. So supply curve in the long run will start shifting to the right because more companies entering this industry. And it will be happening, supply curve will be shifting to the right, or supply will be increasing until we basically get back to the price which is equal to minimum average total cost curve. Because at this price we restore this zero economic profit situation, and no companies want to join, no companies want to leave this industry. So the equilibrium, long run equilibrium, will be restored when supply curve shifts to this position. So here again we have minimum average total cost, price being equal to minimum average total cost, and we restore the long run equilibrium. So this is what could happen because of changes in demand. Now let's see what can happen because of technological improvements. Now let's look what happens if we have changes in technology that improve productivity and reduces cost. Well, in this case, what's going to change in this picture is the average total cost curve is going to shift down. Let's just show it here, and well, I think it's pretty straightforward, pretty intuitive. Average total cost 0 becomes average total cost 1. Well, it means that market price now, even though price didn't change, but because average total cost curve shifted down, companies in the industry will start making positive economic profit. So, well, the same mechanism will get into work. Positive economic profit means that companies outside of the industry will start entering this market or this industry, and it's going to affect supply. Supply is going to increase, and it will be increasing as long as the price is above average total cost, minimum average total cost. And it will stop increasing when the price just drops down to this level. I don't really want it to be okay. It's still working. I didn't want it to drop below the shutdown point, so it seems like I made it. So if this is our new minimum average total cost point, so let's say that was our 0. So here we have minimum average total cost 1. So the businesses from outside of the industry will be entering the industry until the market price gets equal to new lower minimum average total cost. And it seems like the supply should move from S0 to S1. All right, so here the long run equilibrium is restored. So when supply shifted that far and the market price got equal to new minimum average total cost, things stop and we enjoy this equilibrium for, well, until something else happens which will disturb this equilibrium, and then things will start adjusting again. So this is the logic, this is how things work in the long run, and which is going to stop right here.